Well, this is the first time I'm trying gouache in my journal. It's the last page of a journal, so it's a good way to end it with trying something new. Welcome back to my channel. If you hadn't been here in a while, or if you're new, my name's Kariwaltz, and I offer tips, tools, and techniques to the artist. Today we're working in gouache, and I'm filling in the lightest tone of the peach with the yellow, and then I'll add layers on top to create the varied colors of the skin of the peach. I do want to try to keep the image rather soft in shifts of color because it is a peach and I don't want it to have too many hard edges. And right there I got the paint too dark, so my brush has water in the handle and I can just go to the paper towel and dab the paper towel and wipe off the excess paint, and then just come back and kind of bounce around and move the paint where I want it. I've not worked with gouache much, so I'm learning in this process, and I hope you try it with me. Get some and give it a go. I took it on location the other day, and I really enjoyed it. It dries to a matte finish and is more opaque than watercolor, but it works a lot like watercolor. You do work from light to dark, and the thicker part of gouache needs to be on top. So try to save the thickest parts till last and not make them too thick, because if it dries, when it's too thick, it will crack. Now here I put an outside edge of the peach and realized, ooh, that's a little thick. So I wiped it off and just came back with just the water that's in my brush and softened that edge, pulling it inside toward the center of the peach, and kind of gives the illusion of that the meat of the peach, how it blends toward the center. And I want to make the red darker. Did not add black to it. I added some purples and maybe a little of the burnt sienna. I don't remember. But I did want that. Sorry about that flash. Not sure what happened to the film. I did want it to show the texture, so I tried to leave some lighter spots in there that I will come back with later and fill in with even some darker to push that forward. And I'm doing the same thing I did on the outside edge, is I'm just blurring that inner line before it dries too much. That way it has a softer edge. I realized I missed a little part of the peach over here and came back where the leaf is. Needed to add some shadow in the peach, and I still wanted it to seem warm and vibrant. So again, I'm adding a color for the shade rather than black. I don't pick up the black when it's on the surface of an object. Adding a little more variety in the meat of the peach. I'm going back and forth between the peaches to let one of them dry a little bit. Mixed a little darker tone, and then when I come in with a darker tone, then the lighter part that I just put in will be the lighter parts of the pit. And if I get it too dark, I can come back later with a little bit of white, or I can even add some with my white opaque pen. But I don't think I ended up using any pen at all in this one. Again, with gouache and watercolor, you start with the lightest color. The lightest color in those leaves is that pale green. And I put that in first because that's the color of the veins. You can see I missed part of the skin of the peach. I'll come back and get that later up underneath the peaches. It looks a little caved in right now. Okay, I'm laying in the darker green, leaving the space for the inner line where the vein goes down the center. Try to be careful, even leave a little gap, tiny gap between the two leaves so that they don't run too much together. I want the one on the right to actually be under the one on the left. The way the light's on it, the one on the left is darker toward the top, and then it bends away from the light. I went over the center line just a little bit, and I'll clean that up a little bit later. You don't have to do it immediately because it's wet, and if you did it immediately, it would just run right into it. So come back later and lift some of that off. Put a little bit of the stem in. Just a few dabs of paint gives the illusion of that well enough. There it is. I'm coming back to fix the shape of the peach. It was a little caved in. Had to modify that a little bit. Again, I'm just softening the shadows that I put in so that there's not a hard line. You don't want to wet the gouache too much as you do layers, because if you wet it too much, it lifts up the layer that's underneath. So I'm trying to work quickly and lightly and not too much water. And that is a little bit of a challenge with this brush because there's a continual flow, sorry about that, a continual flow of water. So there's times when sometimes I'd dry the brush off, and I'll even unhook the brush if I need to so there isn't a water flow. Or unscrew it, I guess is what it is. It's not hooked on. Sorry, I got a little low on the video on this. I didn't realize it because I couldn't see the camera when I was painting. I thought I was high enough on the canvas, on the table. Sorry, can't talk. This was black plus some violet and purple. It looks really black right now, but I usually add another color to the black if I use black. I just don't want to use it straight most of the time. It just doesn't have as much life to it as I would like. Needed to add a little more shading underneath the leaf. That pushes the leaf forward more. You can see when I wipe off my brush, I know it's clean when it wipes off without adding color to the paper towel. Of course, that's probably a little hard to see because the paper towel is kind of dirty. But thank you for joining me today and for taking a look at this new product that I'm exploring. I'm almost through with the painting, and I'm going to do several more. I'm going to kind of work with both watercolor and gouache and see how it works. Now, right now I'm using only the water brush, and I'll do a couple others and with the more traditional watercolor brush that doesn't have water in it, and see how that works. But we shall see. If you have any questions, please let me know. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I am so excited that my channel's growing, and I hope I'm helping those who are watching. That's my goal, is to help you with things that have helped me, and I've been so lucky to do what I enjoy. I'm very happy with that. That was fun and very user-friendly, I think. You can lift colors off, you can layer. I painted it all with this little water brush that I love to use, and you will be seeing more of this.